Howdy folks. So what we have here is we're going to go over dyno data of a file that I've been writing for almost 2 weeks now. It's given me quite a fit. But the final results are actually quite pleasing. So here's our torque line, our torque peak 20. Look at that, 2,400 foot-pounds at 1491 RPM. That was pretty sweet. The horsepower peak is 810.8 at 2049. So this is a pretty sweet running file. I mean, down here at 1600 RPM, we're at still over 700 horsepower, 704 at 1600. At 1500, we're 684. 1800, which is pretty much what I consider the top of your normal working range, is 759. I ran it up here over 800, really just so to have some just bragging rights. Yeah, I have an 800 horse file, even though I don't see climbing mountains at 2000 RPM. But anyway, torque's pretty nice. It peaks at it peaks at 1490. So of course it starts going down after that, which it has to, because with a single turbo, you got to start taking fuel out as the RPMs go down, or your exhaust temps are going to go through the roof. But still, so 1400 is still making 2,337 foot-pounds. On down here to 1300, it's at 2,230. And I would say once 1400, I don't really don't recommend running the engine on a hard pull down that low anyway. So that's kind of good. 2,400 foot-pounds, 810 horsepower. It was only supposed to be an 800 horse file. I'm not going to go in and rewrite it and take that 10 horse out. It's just going to be a little bonus there. So next, let's move on to no, I want to save this to last. Let's move on to boost and back pressure. All right, so obviously when you start to pull at 2,200, you're going to have pretty high back pressure. This has a GT50 turbine, which is a 99 millimeter inducer by, what is it, a 99 by 91, I think. So peak back pressure was 37.54 at 2,095 RPM. There again, that's not really a useful RPM. Once we get down here to about 1851 at 34.09 pounds, the crossover occurs. And the cool thing about that is, in my opinion, is the 15 to 1800 is where you work at. This is, if you're up here, you're goofing off or something anyway. But there's your work. You work down there, and once you get your boost above back pressure, that's where you're making money. The boost peaked out at 35.61 psi. Let me pull up the environmental conditions just a little bit, because you're going to say, oh, that's not very much boost. And it's not, doesn't sound like much, but you got to remember I'm at 4,300 feet. And even today's barometer is 25.90. Standard day is 29.92. So I'm very thin air up here. That's why my total boost is always going to be higher. That's still 35.5 to 1, or 35.5 pounds of boost is probably, I'm going to guess it's probably in the neighborhood of, I'm not doing the math. It's probably 4.5 to 1 pressure ratio, something, I don't know. I just don't have time to do the math. But anyway, so that's pretty good stuff there. I like that crossover, because that's where you're making your money. 35.5 psi, you're only taking 28 pounds of back pressure to get there. So that's pretty cool. Lastly, let's go over here to exhaust gas temperature. And to me, this was where I was really, really pleased. Actually, we'll save the best for last. Let's go down here and look at compressor discharge temperature. The hottest compressor discharge was 385 degrees, and that was at 1,510 RPM. I think that's a little on the cool side, considering that compressor wheel is not designed to be running at 35.5 pounds. It's the wastegate on that factory turbo. That's a C18 turbo. Wastegate is set at like 21 pounds, so that thing will probably never see more than 23, maybe 24 pounds on the C18. But you know, we're running at 10 pounds over that, and still only 385.1. That's pretty good. It was 63 degrees in the building with that, so you got to take that into consideration. I did not monitor the intake manifold temperature. I know a lot of you are really concerned with that. I didn't watch that, so I didn't even check the max on CAT ET. But I can tell you at 385 in a 63 degree building, it wasn't that high. I would say it probably wasn't more than 120, 130 degrees at tops. So there's that. Now, this is, to me, this is the best news of the whole run. There's our peak. Our peak exhaust temperature was 1300 even at 1203 degrees. I tell you, I'm sorry, at 1203 RPM. At 1203 RPM, this thing's barely making 24 pounds of boost. So you're done. So like we've talked about, that's not a typical area of RPM that you're going to be pulling hard. This is wide open throttle. 1300 at 1203 RPM. That is fantastic. And then down here at the this little dip right here, this is 1259 degrees right there. So basically from 15, there's about 1500 RPM is 1277 all the way over here to 18 is 1275. So that is sweet. Under 1300, wide open throttle in the meat of the working part of the power band. Now it does go up a little bit. I think right at here it peaks out at 1293, but my goodness, even 1293 at 1960 RPM is not bad. So all in all, this turned out better than I'd hoped, because with the there's two turbos were used in this, and the first one, I have a whole video on the two different turbos that were on this engine. The first one was a real turd, just wouldn't do what I needed it to do. And this file doesn't have crazy timing in it. It's obviously it has added timing because it's part of the writing the files. You want to optimize the timing for power and efficiency. So it's got added timing, but it's not crazy. I'll tell you, the highest number on the timing chart is no higher than the highest number on the stock one. It's just a matter of where they're moved around to. All right, well, I'll stop talking. That's it for this one. I will probably link the actual run video and maybe even the dyno display video. Alrighty, thank you much.